Welcome to the Empowered Wife podcast, where it's all about fixing your marriage without your husband's conscious effort so that you feel desired, taken care of, and special, even if your marriage feels completely hopeless. I'm Laura Doyle, and today I'm revealing how to trigger a man's hero instinct. My guest, Jamie Lee, slapped her husband, and then she found out he was cheating. It's not a stretch to say they hated each other. Then she read the book, The Empowered Wife. And from the minute she tried the 6 intimacy skills, she knew they were working. Today, she says her husband just wants to be her hero and her marriage is 100 times better. She's going to tell us how she triggered his hero gene so you can do it too. I'm also going to go over 5 ways that you can trigger a man's hero instinct because men are highly motivated to make their wives happy. And notice I didn't say some men or most men, but just men. That's because in my research, where I asked thousands of men how important it was to them that their wives were happy, they all said the same thing. They said, that's the most important thing, or it's everything. It's of utmost importance. Or in the UK, they said it's imperative. In other words, they all wanted to feel like their wife's hero. And you might even think, like I did, that your man is one of those rare men who just doesn't have a hero instinct. A lot of my students thought that too, but I'm happy to say we were all wrong. If you were raised like I was to be independent, so you don't need a hero because you can do everything for yourself, then you might be unwittingly sabotaging your man's opportunities to be your hero. Here are 5 ways to trigger his hero instinct. Number 1, expect the best from him. All heroes have their kryptonite, and questioning your man's competence because you're afraid he's going to make a mistake is one sure way to make him weak. Phrases like, "Are you sure you know what you're doing?" or even "be careful" are showing you expect the worst and making his superpowers fade. Showing that you trust him and think he's smart, that will turbocharge his hero instinct. If he thinks he can fix the plumbing, triggering his hero instinct would be saying, "You're so good at fixing things," not, "But what if you make it worse?" Number 2, be receptive. If your hero offers you his jacket when it's cold, or wants to buy you an expensive gift, or carry you through the part of the hike where there's prickers, and you say, "That's okay, I'm fine," you just threw cold water on his hero instinct. Last Saturday, John was staying with his brother who just had surgery, but he wanted to get up early and come home to make my tea for me, as he does every Saturday morning before volleyball. I was tempted to say he didn't have to, but instead I received, and he got to be my hero that morning, and I got to feel like a Disney princess. Number 3, let him solve your problems. Another way to trigger your man's hero instinct is to ask to borrow his brain to solve your problems. Your problem might be that the morning routine with kids before school and work is too stressful to handle by yourself. Or it could be that you have a challenge at work you don't know how to solve. Sure, you could power through, suck it up, and just figure it all out yourself without triggering his hero instinct. But then you'd miss out on the chance to feel good. Him for being your hero and you for getting the support you need, like all humans do. Number 4, give up your guilt. If you're feeling too guilty to let your hero take care of the kids while you're sleeping late, even though he's offering, you're crushing his hero instinct. Whether you think it costs too much or you should be able to just handle things yourself, having him show up as your hero can be uncomfortable if you feel undeserving. Triggering his hero instinct is about pushing through that guilt to the part where you're feeling pampered beyond reason. Number 5, express your desires in a way that inspires him. Finally, one of the most effective ways to trigger your husband's hero instinct is to tell him what you would love by describing a final outcome, not how it happens or who does it, just the final outcome that you desire. In order to express your desires, of course, you have to know what it is you desire. For example, I said recently, I would love to have all these July 4th decorations I ordered put up on our house. And John did put Independence Day bunting, banners, and swag up because he knew it would make me happy. And it does. It looks so cool. It's hard to say who gets more enjoyment out of the deal because we both got what we want. I got to have a hero and he gets to be one. Something big is happening here on the Laura Doyle campus, and you are invited. Hundreds of women have become experts on the 6 intimacy skills and transformed their marriages by becoming certified Laura Doyle relationship coaches who live their purpose, have more intimacy, and earn for their families. In my free masterclass, Purpose, Prosperity, and Intimacy, How to Have All Three and Help Others Do the Same, I share directly from our popular relationship coach training and certification course about the number one most important qualification for becoming a successful relationship coach. I also reveal the indispensable first step to having a passionate, peaceful relationship and how to share it with other women. I explain about why our coaches have an unfair advantage over other relationship coaches and counselors. And I go step by step through our proven coaching curriculum and why it's so effective in saving marriages and empowering coaches. Register today for Purpose, Prosperity, and Intimacy. Have all three and help others do the same at lauradoyle.org/purpose. That's lauradoyle.org/purpose. My guest, Jamie Lee, slapped her husband, and then she found out he was cheating. It's not a stretch to say they hated each other. Then she read the book, The Empowered Wife. And from the minute she tried the 6 intimacy skills, she knew they were working. Today, she says her husband just wants to be her hero and her marriage is 100 times better. She's going to tell us how she triggered his hero gene so you can do it too. Jamie, welcome to the Empowered Wife podcast. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you. Well, all right, well, take us back to those bad old days. I want to hear what was going wrong.
So everything was going wrong, Laura. I fell in love with him. He was such a beautiful man. He was everything I was looking for. I'm a little bit nervous.
Sure.
He was just so present and so amazing. But I started to control him from literally like the second time I met him. I didn't want to lose him. But trying to control him, I lost myself. Every day I did everything to please him. I thought I was doing all the things to be the best wife.
I want to hear about that a little bit more. Like, what did you think it meant to be a good wife?
So I was cleaning the house all the time. I was making his lunch. Every time like he did something I didn't like, it just like presented as physical pain in my body. It hurt me so bad when he didn't do what I asked him to do. And I didn't really know how to stop controlling him, and I just felt so ugly. The intimacy that I craved, I could just never like wrap my head around like getting the intimacy that I wanted from him. I drank a lot. I ended up having 2 kids, and I think I got diagnosed with postnatal depression when my second son was a couple of weeks old. So the house had to be perfect. And he just couldn't do anything right.
Oh, sounds painful and lonely and hard. Yeah. Postpartum depression is very, that's a rough one, right? And you already had a child, so yeah, exhausting, right?
Yeah, they were really close in age. So they were 1 and my second son was 4 weeks old. So they're about a year apart.
Wow. That's rough. Yeah.
And then my husband, he fell through a roof, and he had like 3 fractures in his skull, 3 fractures in his spine, a couple fractures in his shoulders, and so he was really like out of work. He couldn't drive his car, and he was really depressed. So I had postnatal depression, and he had been diagnosed with depression. And yeah, I just felt like I didn't have a grip on anything, and we just I slapped him. He wouldn't listen to me. He didn't want to talk about his feelings, and I didn't know what to do at that time. So yeah, I slapped him in the face, and then a few weeks later, he was having an affair, and
Oh, ouch. This sounds like a nightmare. So you're depressed, he's depressed. You don't know how to get out of this, and you're overwhelmed. It's just, oh gosh. So this is I mean, you were obviously feeling very desperate when you slapped him.
yes.
And I just relate to feeling so desperate. How am I going to get him to listen? And this was all you had. It's all you could think of. And then to find out he was having an affair. Oh,
Yeah, like I can't even describe the pain that you feel when you realize that when the person that you trusted has done this to you. Our relationship obviously couldn't have gotten any worse at this point. Like, I slapped him, and I think, our son witnessed me slapping him, and he didn't want my son to be raised in that environment. And it wasn't until a few weeks after that he sort of left our relationship. He was still there, but he had left. And then that's when the cheating had started, he said. He told me he was hurting after his accident, and he didn't know how to approach me or speak to me. And he was in a lot of pain. He didn't feel like he could provide for his family. And yeah, there was a lot going on for him that I didn't realize as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just remember moving in with my dad, and I woke up with like night terrors and sweats. And this one night in particular, I woke up and I just felt like the deepest sadness and sorrow and despair. And I just thought, how could this happen to me? I thought I did everything right. And so I just watched the rain. I remember watching the rain, just feeling so alone. And yeah, I just didn't know how I was going to manage having 2 babies and this heartbreak.
Awful. I feel the despair as you describe that situation. It sounds so lonely.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the bad old days.
Well, they sound pretty bad. And then yeah, did you propose marriage counseling to him, or did you guys what did you do to try to fix the relationship?
I was big at researching everything. So I just started researching, and I came across Esther Perel, Mating in Captivity First. And it really just didn't resonate with me. It made me feel a little bit like, made me feel sick in my stomach reading that book. And so I kept reading, and I came across your book, The Empowered Wife. And when I was reading it, not only did it resonate with me, but the way you speak to women, it's your tone and it's the way you speak. It was like this beautiful voice inside my head, like that. Your voice inside my head has changed my entire life.
Oh, I'm happy to hear that. Oh, oh my gosh. So you started to feel hopeful as you read, it sounds like.
Yeah, so you put hope into my whole life. I've never felt hopeful. Like, I've always felt a little bit depressed in my life, right up until I found your book.
Wow. Wow. All right. Well, I want to hear all about this. So you read the book, and then what were you thinking? You're feeling hopeful. You're feeling some light. You could see some light.
Yeah.
What else were you thinking? Okay, I'm gonna try this, or well, this is, this is not what I thought it was gonna be, or what else were you thinking as you were getting that
Well,
information?
apart from having like this amazing like sense of like empowerment and just happiness come over me, I really did feel like I was given a few superpowers, and I really wanted to try them immediately, and they just worked. Like, I wanted to share them with everybody. Like, I did one or two things, like, I hear you, and he just looked at me funny. He's like, yeah, like he finally just felt heard by me.
Oh,
Um,
I love it.
yeah,
Okay, so you started experimenting right away. You're like,
yeah, I started
wait for my
experimenting right
chance.
away.
I'm going to wait for my chance to use this cheat phrase.
Yeah,
I mean, my new superpower of being a good listener. You said, I
yeah,
heard you. And then he looked at you like, all right, she hears me. So
yeah.
you got a different response, it sounds like.
Yes, so the cheat phrases work straight away, but there was a particular like quote in the book that I really loved, and I thought, wow, this is him. Like, so the quote was, "Look at a man the way he is, and he only becomes worse. But look at him as if he were who he could be, and he becomes what he should be." So that quote really stuck with me, and I wanted to, for once, I wanted to look at him like the man he wanted to become, and I wanted to see him for more than what he was showing me, and I knew that he could be better. So that quote really stuck with me throughout our entire relationship, and he actually started to show up for me in every single way. So so I started to trust him. I just decided to trust him, and like, he immediately like cut all ties with this woman. And I never recall another time where he wanted to go back to her. He just really wanted to show up for me, and be the
Whoa.
man I always dreamed of.
Wow. Okay, that is super fascinating, and it also feels like you just dropped a big wisdom bomb on us, Jamie Lee. So I want to just go back over that for a second, because so you
Yeah.
decided to trust him. You showed up trusting, and that
Yeah.
was when he ended the relationship with the other woman, and he's never gone back to that. So I think I hear you saying, like, I kind of ended that by deciding to trust. Like, you had the power. Is that right?
Yes. So I did a few things. Oh, your book is so powerful. I did a few things, like, I said to him, I want to be a wife. I really want to be a wife. And he took me to this massive tree, and he proposed to me. And now it all seems a little bit weird. Like, from the outside, everyone was like, what's going on in your relationship? And I just really wanted to give it everything that I've got this time, because you said, like, to jump in and like to trust him and to put my faith in the relationship. And everyone was like, why are you getting married? Like, he's just cheated on you. And I'm like, I love this man, and I know that he loves me, and I want to start like fresh. I want to start this relationship, and I want it to be everything I ever dreamed of. And I'm going to put my full faith in this. With your skills, I know that I've got the skills to do it. And I just jumped in, and I haven't looked back. Honestly, this relationship has just been completely different to my first one.
Wow. Okay. I mean, you're making me cry. First of all, you're bringing tears to my eyes, and it sounds so amazing. Like, and I mean, I could see people who know you were probably saying, don't be a fool. He's
Yes.
just cheated on you. You
Yes.
should take the kids and get out, right?
Yes.
They must have said
Yes.
that.
They did.
And you said, no, I'm actually going to double down. I'm going to get married to this man
Yes.
that just cheated on me. Where did you
Yes.
find, how did you find this faith? I mean, you make it sound kind of easy. You make it sound easy.
Yeah.
So was it easy, or how did you do this?
No, so we separated, and obviously I was hurt for a long time, but with your skills, I was reading your book and I had these superpowers and I was practicing these superpowers and they were working. And the biggest superpower was taking care of myself. So I had never looked at my own paper and started focusing what I want in life. And I never focused on what would make me happy. So the biggest superpower was staying in my own lane. And so much came from that. So what I wanted was financial independent, to be financially independent. And so I started a business and I started making really good money, and I saved enough to travel Australia, which was another thing that I wanted to do for my family. So we just came home from that because I didn't get enough time for self-care while I was on the road in such a small space. So it was terrible.
Oh, so you had this dream to travel across the country, but it wasn't, it didn't turn out quite the way you imagined, it sounds like. And you decided to come home because that seems like better self-care for Jamie Lee.
Yeah.
Gotcha. But I hear you really figuring out what you desired and making those desires come true.
Yeah.
Financial independence and this traveling, really seeing the whole of Australia. All right, so now you're back home, and there's more time and space for self-care. You could get away from your kids, probably is a big part of it, I'm guessing. Is that right? I mean,
Yes.
it's a mere mortal mom, right? You need a little break from those people sometimes. Okay.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, gotcha. So so you start making all your dreams come true.
Yeah.
And how did that impact your relationship?
Well, I just feel so in control of myself, where I don't really need to control him anymore. I mean, sometimes I slip and I'm like, you haven't been to an appointment, or you haven't had a checkup, or are you smoking cigarettes? I can smell it on your breath. And he's like, yeah. And then I'm like, oh. And then I remember how I used to be, and I'm like, that's not how we behave anymore. And I'm able to just go and take self-care and get back on this journey of what is it that I'm doing and what is it that I am not doing at the moment.
So it sounds like you've really changed your behavior tremendously from how it used to be. Okay. And what about your personality? Do you still feel like you're the same old Jamie Lee?
No, I'm not ashamed of myself anymore. Like, I would not have done this interview back in the old days because I was ashamed of myself and my behavior. And I thought that I had two sides. I thought I showed the world a side of myself that was fake. And then I showed up at home differently with my children and with my husband. And I was ashamed of that person. And now the two have sort of, I am both of them now, but I'm not ashamed of myself anymore. When I do slip, I realize that I can do better. And it's sort of like, I just expect better from myself, and I'm just happier. And yeah.
This is very, very inspiring, because I think, it's so relatable, right? We all there's the things I used to say to my husband in private, and then there was, the pictures on Facebook or whatever, right? That would be a totally different look. And it sounds kind of hard to be the person that's in the pictures, I guess, instead of the one who, the things I was saying to my husband in the car, that I'd be ashamed for anyone else to hear. But I hear you are, I just hear some pride, some confidence in your ability to this is another superpower. You're your best self now.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So it can be done. And it
can certainly be done. I would say I was the most controlling wife. And yeah, now I'm really happy. And a lot of people still don't believe me. And I was actually a little bit worried about giving my story, because I was a little bit worried that people and my friends and my family, they wouldn't believe my story and my transformation. And then I realized it doesn't matter, because I am genuinely really happy. Like, all of my bad behaviors, they are not there anymore. And I don't drink, I don't smoke. I go to the gym. I take care of myself. And I'm genuinely really happy with my life and my relationship.
Wow. Okay.
So I'm proud of myself.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Who would it be? That is so, it's so exciting. I admire you so much for making this incredible transformation. Your family, your health. I mean, the depression. What about the depression?
I can't remember the last time. The last time was when I felt that despair and that sadness. And that was the last. And I had felt like that since I was 10 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so what is your relationship like now with your
amazing.
Your marriage? What is your marriage?
It's beautiful. It's really beautiful. He does his own thing. I trust him to make himself happy. And I realize that, what has happened in our relationship, a lot of it is on his paper, and I'm not responsible for that. And it's, to be honest, when I did find out, it was like a massive weight had been lifted off my shoulders. Like I'm not responsible for him.
Wow. So that breakdown actually gave you some clarity that you needed. It gave you permission to stop making sure he didn't mess up. Is that right?
Like, I couldn't control him anymore.
No. And it was obvious. This is like, okay, yeah, you might as well unburden yourself, because you couldn't do it anyway. It was very clear. Yeah. Interesting. So is it something that comes up for you now, that you worry he'll cheat again?
It never comes up. Writing this, a few emotions come up for me, but in everyday life, it never comes up, and I am never sad or I'm not hurt anymore, because I don't even know that woman. I do not know that relationship anymore. So yes, no, that was probably the biggest thing that I wanted to say. Everyone did say you can't move past that pain and the cheating and the hurt, but for me, that's just has not been my experience. I never think about it.
So that's not true. When people say you can't move past it, that is not true.
That is not true. You can definitely, with the right skills.
Yeah, as long as you have superpowers, which it's remarkable. So like all right, so let's say I dropped into your house for a while and I was just hanging out. What would I see? Yeah. What kinds of interactions would I see between you and your husband?
Well, there's just, I guess the biggest thing is I don't feel these small spaces when I'm bored with arguments anymore, and I'm not telling him what to do. So I used to want things a certain way, but now the house is literally a mess. Like, if I just showed you.
Not the part I can see, but all right. Yeah.
I'm really just happy to let things be. Not perfect anymore.
So if I come over to your house, I'm going to see a happy Jamie Lee, but there might be dishes in at the same time. Okay, but that's.
And I'm exhausted now. I'm exhausted because I do so much for myself. Like, I work I work out, I do walking with my friends. I don't have time to be on his paper, and I don't have time to be bossing him around. And the time we do spend together, I'm not trying to fill it with arguments.
Yeah. You're too busy for those arguments, it sounds like now. And how has he changed?
Well, I think he's just happier being himself, feeling like I've given him permission to sort of figure out his own path. So I've been practicing the skills for 3 years, and he has a lot to deal with. So he goes to his own appointments and his psychologist, and he does his own thing. But I think the biggest thing for him is he's just allowed to be himself and to work on things at his own pace. And he does love to do everything he can to make me happy and like to feel my desires. He'll hear them, and then a few weeks later he will do something and I'm like, oh, that's right. I mentioned that a few weeks ago, and so I'm noticing
He fulfills on it. He heard so
he always tries to fulfill on everything that I
really
want.
So you are triggering his hero gene all the time, it sounds like.
Yes.
How is that done? Tell us how you did that.
So I really wanted to get away for the weekend when I did the Empowered for Life weekend retreat.
Yeah, the Cherish for Life weekend. Yeah.
Yes. And he took care of the kids for the whole weekend. There's just no complaining from him. He always just wants to show up the best he can. How else does it show up? He cleans, he does his chores.
Oh, that's every woman's love language, I feel like. So,
yes.
and how did you, what did you do to make him, was he like this before when you were slapping him? No. Okay. So what's the difference? What are you doing now to make him your hero? Make him want to be your hero.
Giving him this space. Giving him the space and expressing my desires in a way that, not that it inspires him, but I'm just expressing what I want in life, and then he'll pick up on that, and if he can make that happen, he will. If not, I've expressed it, but I don't have any I don't have any expectations.
Yeah, you must be very good at this, because it sounds like he's highly motivated to make you happy. It sounds like he feels very successful with making you happy.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
But I'm more successful at making myself happy.
Yeah, so you're not just leaving it up to him to make you happy. You're spending plenty of time and energy on your own happiness.
Yes.
Yeah. Well done, Jamie Lee. I love that. What and how old are your children?
Now they're 3 and 4.
Okay, so still little tiny people at your house. How has this impacted them?
It's actually impacted them a lot, because not only am I showing up for him in a respectful way, but our kids, they're seeing us happier, and they're happier as well. So not only am I happy with him, but I'm showing them respect, and I'm letting them have a relationship with their father. So they have a better relationship, and I get more time off because he loves taking care of them and showing up for them how he can. And our relationship has improved, mine with the children, because I'm more intimate with them. I love spending time with them, and
No, I
there's
love
more love in the family. There's more love in my home.
Oh, that's so nice. They must. Yeah, I can imagine. That's a good environment for kids to thrive. And there's a lot more love in the home. And what a contrast, right, to you feeling depressed and kind of worried about raising those two kids by yourself for a minute there to they have a home court advantage now of parents who love each other. There's a lot of love in your home, is what I hear. So
Yeah, and
well
that was
done.
important, but I really didn't know how to get there. So they seen me, you know, fighting with their father a lot, and now I can show up as the mum I want to be as well.
Oh, how great is that? So, and just to say too, I mean, obviously you were doing the best you could before.
Yeah. Yes.
And no one had ever shown you the skills, right? Nobody ever gave you this training before. So you didn't know. And now that you know better, it sounds like you're able to do much, much better. So much that you are here really shouting it from the rooftops that this is all possible, right? You're here to inspire other women, and also for us to get to celebrate what you have done, right? I just find this to be such an important accomplishment that your family is not just still together, but there's a lot of love, and your husband wants to be your hero all the time. So great job. This is no small accomplishment. It's huge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Laura. I found you at the most incredible time. You changed my life.
Wow.
Well, not incredible time, but in the worst time of my life, I found you, and it was the most incredible thing I could have found.
Yeah. And the timing was just right. In some ways, I think the darkest moment is a time of that's the time you might be most open, right, to something completely different. And you were very open, and that takes a lot of courage. So so I admire that. So what do you think you would say to a woman who is where you were, where she says, he never wants to do anything I want him to do, and he's smoking and he cheats, and I'm depressed, and I want to have what Jamie Lee has now, where her husband loves taking care of the kids and takes care of them for the weekend so she can go away for her self-care, where and I want to feel happy like she is, and also know that he cares deeply about my happiness. What's your tip for her? What should she do?
I would tell her to obviously read your book. I read it maybe 1,000 times.
That's a lot.
No, I probably read it a good 20 times. Just to focus on herself, and there is hope. The pain doesn't last forever, and you have the power to change your entire family, the culture of your home. Like you said, it was basically up to the woman, and I didn't realize how much power I had over the culture of my home. And there was another quote that I really loved. The man may be the head of the household, but the woman is the neck, and she can turn her head whichever way she pleases. So that was really powerful to me, because whatever direction you want to take your family, or whatever you really want for your family, it is possible if you have the right skills.
Amazing. I love it. What do you think you would say if you could go back in time and talk to Jamie Lee from before when she was hurting? What would you say? Tell her what you know now.
Your relationship can be really beautiful, and this hurt that you're feeling right now isn't forever. And it will pass. This too shall pass.
Yeah, that is very moving. Yeah, it's not forever. And and would you also just mention to her that you'd be getting a wife award from Laura Doyle for what you've created in your family, because this is no small thing, right? There's divorce all around us, right? And your family almost fell apart, but it didn't. And because of your commitment and your courage and your openness, your vulnerability, I just would like to present you with the Best Wife Award.
Thank you. I do my best, Laura. I'm not perfect, but I do my best. And
That's right. That's right. You're not perfect. I'm not perfect either. But this is why we like to hang around with each other, just to stay present to the precious gift that we have. And this has been a great reminder for me today, Jamie Lee. So thank you for the inspiration. I'm gonna have a spring in my step for at least a couple of days here from getting to hear your beautiful story.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Here's a shortcut for getting on one of those group coaching calls that you've heard so much about on this podcast without having to commit to a membership. You ready? Be one of the first to get my brand new Empowered Wife Workbook and Journal, a guided journey to transforming your marriage with the 6 intimacy skills. Pick it up at the store, any store, and upload a picture of the receipt to lauradoyle.org/journal-bonus. It's lauradoyle.org/journal-bonus. We'll give you the secret handshake so you can join the call on July 27th. And who knows, maybe you'll get coaching from a master relationship coach, or you can just lurk in the back of the Zoom call if you prefer. My brand new Empowered Wife Workbook and Journal includes a 30-day routine to kickstart your practice of the 6 intimacy skills. It's filled with powerful questions and exercises to make them stick and make your marriage last and thrive. So get your Empowered Wife Workbook and Journal now at your favorite retailer so we can put your name on the guest list for a group coaching call with a master relationship coach. Listen and subscribe to the Empowered Wife podcast. On next week's podcast, I'll reveal how to communicate your needs in a relationship. In the meantime, I hope you're having lots of fun. Today's fun fact is that this morning I was making an omelet, and then the next thing I knew, I was having scrambled eggs.